Welcome to the Run It Back podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back National Lampoon's Vacation from 1983. This movie is slightly problematic now.
Didn't age real great, did it?
Some of it did, some of it didn't, but overall, they don't make it the same way today as they did then.
Oh no, not without a whole heap of bout of trouble.
Yeah.
Did you realize, so we've already watched it, we have it on mute in the background. Did you realize that the used car dealer was Eugene Levy?
Yeah.
I did not.
I mean, there's nobody that looks like that. The movie opens up, and the opening credits are kind of like a montage of tourist trap places.
They're postcards.
Yeah, but they're postcards of tourist trap ones.
Right.
And then you get Clark is bringing in their old station wagon. He's traded in his car. They ordered a special different station wagon, and the car didn't come in. And that's where this shady-ass car salesman...
Right, he was supposed to have an Antarctic blue sports wagon, and instead they've given him the green pea, metallic pea.
It's a very odd-looking car, especially the front. It's got like the 4 headlights on each side. The grill in the front's kind of weird.
It said that this movie essentially killed station wagons. It said Griswold's plan to cart his family from Chicago to California to visit the Disneyland stand-in Wally World required a durable vehicle. Obviously, he didn't get one. The unheralded star of the film is the Wagon Queen family truckster, a station wagon with 8 headlights and a pea green finish. The car was actually a Ford Limited Country Squire, heavily modified to be as unattractive as possible, and it did the job a little too well. Following the release of Vacation, station wagon sales plummeted. Also known as estate vehicles, the models were shortly replaced in popularity by minivans and then SUVs.
So they were trying to make it look up.
Yeah, they were trying to make it look as bad as they could. But so he has to get it because they've crushed his trade-in.
Yeah, how quick are they doing these turnarounds? Like,
it does seem weird, right?
Why wouldn't you finalize the deal first?
Yeah.
And why are they crushing it, not reselling it?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. But after he accepts it and goes home with it, it makes god-awful noise throughout this entire thing. Like, was this it was a new car, right? Like, not new to him, it was a new car.
Yeah.
Why does it make so much, like, it squeals throughout the entire movie to the point at one point I was like, hey, is that on here, or is that, like, something in the house we need to attend to? From the second that he brings it home. Also, in this scene, I didn't notice, but there was a comment about it. They're scraping leftovers off of the dishes, and she's handing them to him to wash, and he's just wiping them down with a rag and sticking them back in the cupboard. He said it was one of his favorite parts of the film, but people tend to gloss over it.
I didn't notice. So he brings that car home, because like you said, they've crushed his other car.
In like a matter of seconds.
So he kind of stuck with it. Although he should have caroned out and threw a bigger fit.
Yeah, I'd have had something to say.
So he gets home and he's kind of just redoing the whole spiel that the car salesman gave him to his wife.
Oh yeah, he's trying to make it seem like it was his idea. Like, oh, this one's more durable and that sport one wouldn't get us very far.
And I guess, I really hope that wasn't like the real airbag from then. I think it was just a trash bag that they found, because they've used it twice in the movie where it just kind of pops out.
Just a trash bag. I don't know if it's how they actually looked in the 80s, but I don't feel like it was protecting anybody from anything.
But they're talking about multiple people in the family, like Russ, the son, and the wife's like, why don't we just fly? And he's like, getting there is half the fun. He wants to spend more time with his family.
Nothing worthwhile is easy. They should have flown. Yeah.
So they leave, they pack up.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about this computer.
His triptych.
So he is his kids are playing video games. He makes them stop so he can get on this computer and show them the trip he's playing. But somehow the kids were able to somehow get in there with their video game controllers and control character. It was very weird.
Yeah. It's probably not feasible.
Nothing in this movie is feasible, I don't believe.
Wonder if anybody's got a replica of this
car?
God-awful car.
Oh, I'm sure. So like you were getting ready to say, they've packed up, but unfortunately the car is still in the garage when they put everything on top on the luggage rack. So when they back out, it knocks all of their luggage off.
which is the first of many disasters to come. So sure, they get in the car, they start singing.
Yes, and that's the first time I noticed the squeak was during their family sing along, and I was like, is that on the movie? Like,
look at those seats. It looks like it would be hot as
oh
hell
yeah,
in
they're
there.
like fabric.
They look like a very
fabric.
thick, scratchy.
It looks like something your grandma would knit.
No, it looks worse.
No, it looks like a knitted sweater.
It looks way worse than that.
I mean, if you buy a new car and it squeaks that loud, you don't take it, right?
Yeah. You gotta think this is 40...
I don't care.
Almost 40 years.
I don't care.
So they go to the gas station. It's a new car to Clark. He doesn't know where the gas thing is. Or the gas cap and all that. He rips off their license plate, which isn't a real license plate.
Well, he just got it. He just got the car. It's the dealer's license plate. He sees the person next to him flip down their license plate to put gas in it. So he's like, well, maybe I'll try there. But he just slung it.
Yeah, he just ripped it right off.
And eventually Ellen, his wife, finds it. And it's like a notch in the hood.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the last car I saw that had one. The gas tank was up front.
I've never seen it.
But I knew it wouldn't be in the hatch there because that goes
There's nowhere
into the back of the car. So all these wood panels are just stuff that they've basically glued on the car, and that's why they don't look.
I don't know, because a lot of them had like the wood panels.
Yeah, but these are the most weird looking wood panels.
Yeah, they're rough. Now, it said that he did not mean to throw this license plate like that, and his surprise at it almost hitting this lady was genuine.
He did look a little...
Yeah.
Like he was about to start laughing.
Yeah, if you look close, there's a bunch of he's about to start laughing. It's like when they crack up on SNL, but weirder because there's a second take and they didn't need to do that.
So the next thing you know, they've left Chicago. They're driving through St. Louis.
Can I say that before they get to St. Louis, they do show a decent amount of cornfields, which I greatly appreciated because I've never been on a road trip that didn't involve a fair amount of fucking cornfields.
So they're driving through St. Louis and they
take the wrong exit.
And they end up basically what they're trying to portray as the ghetto.
The wife says, we have no business being in an area like this. And you're like, oh. And then they start to drive around and it's just black people.
Yeah, so it is.
Clark starts talking about the plight, and this is the part of America we never get to see, and it's good, it's bad, but it's good, and you kids need to see this. And then something happens. What is it, like a gunshot?
I think the car backfires.
And he's like,
is it roll them up?
Yeah, everybody had to roll up their windows. But who drives through what you consider the dangerous part of town with the windows down any fucking way?
I don't know, but like, he tries to get directions, and dude's just like, hold on, what did he say? He said, fuck your mama.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's a pimp. It's clearly a pimp. But he tries so many times to get directions. Like, if this is a dangerous neighborhood, why wouldn't you wait until you're in a different neighborhood?
He stops in front of this bar, diner place, and he's like, excuse me, homies.
Holmes.
What it is.
What it is, bro. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. So this guy, he's asked for directions. They basically make him pay $5.
$10.
Well, they made him pay $5, but they only had it to.
Mm-hmm.
But while this guy's distracting him, giving him directions, everybody else steals the hubcaps off the car. And later you see they've spray painted honky lips on one of the back wood panels.
Yeah. And he does not give him directions.
No, he ends up telling him to go a ways down to see somebody
cousin.
else, because they're actually from here. He's from Chicago.
Right. But, so this scene does not play today.
No.
Did you hear the little girl in the back seat, Audrey?
No.
She said, I wonder if these guys know the Commodores.
Because they're black?
Because they're black.
That whole group of people just fucks with them. They eventually get out of St. Louis at some point.
Wait, did we emphasize enough that we do not condone this? Because at this point in the movie, I stopped and looked at you and I was like, can we even talk about this?
I feel like you have to. Like this, it was 37?
36? It should be 36 years ago, right?
36, 37, somewhere in there. It's weird that got through corporate people.
That was okay being?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess,
It wasn't okay.
Oh, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. It's okay enough for it to be in this movie.
It's weird that it got okayed by however many different people.
Yeah. And it's not the last time in the movie either.
No.
Now, I will say, Harold Ramis, who directed this movie, said that scene is one of his most regretted things in his career.
So they make it out of St. Louis, and they're on the highway. Ellen's tired and wants to lay her head down, and Clark tilts the steering wheel.
No.
Is that not what
No,
happened?
Ellen does not want to lay her head down. He is trying to get himself some roadhead. Like, he makes every attempt, and she tells him no. Let's just wait until we're at the motel. And he says, okay, well, if you're tired, you can just lay your head down. So he lifts the steering wheel up so she can lay her head down, then he moves it back down, and it traps her head. And she said, I know what you're trying to do. It's a dirty deed.
But yeah, her head got stuck up down there, and the kids, like, lean up, and they see everything.
Oh, the kids see way too much in this movie.
But when he finally does get the steering column unstuck and she gets out, she looks back there, and they're all acting like they didn't see it.
She tells him, we need to pull over. You're tired. You get weird when you're tired. You're going to fall asleep. He's like, oh, I'm not going to fall asleep. I have 100 more miles in me. And then it cuts to everybody in the car asleep, including him.
He's like, they're just drifting through. They make a couple they take an exit somewhere along the way, and they all sleep through a bunch of close calls, which eventually end up at a hotel.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we're here.
Yeah. It's the best self-driving. It's like the first self-driving car.
Yeah.
Not first braking, but...
So they're at the hotel, and then it's just boobs.
Yeah, quite a bit of nakedness.
Which I didn't expect from this movie.
It is rated R.
Yeah, but I thought that was just all the fucks.
Yeah, I don't know. So after she gets out of the shower and puts her damn clothes back on, she's trying to get him to calm down with his plan. Like, you know how he is. I need you to just chill out. We'll get there when we get there. Everything's fine. Like, you have to chill out. But you know he's not going to chill out.
Well, he breaks out some wine, and he brought some quarters for this vibrating bed.
Yeah, the magic fingers.
What?
Magic fingers. That's what the vibrating bed was called. Don't hate me because I know stuff.
So this bed gets a little weird.
As in, won't stop.
Yeah. And it gets a little wonky a little bit through it.
But so instead of turning it off or unplugging it, he just decides, hey, it's okay, we'll lay in the floor and fuck.
Yeah.
So he puts the blanket, like the comforter and the pillows in the floor, gets down there with her. The kids come in to see, like, what this thumping is. I guess they have, like, a joined room. Russ walks over and unplugs it because fucking obviously that's what you do. He's like, but meanwhile, they're down there. The mom is naked. She's covered up. When Clark pops up, he has, like, her panties on his finger. And they're like, where's mom? It was like, oh, I'm under here, kids. Just go to bed. So then, the next morning, they end up in Dodge City at Frontier Days.
So they go to this Wild West bar restaurant type deal, right? And he's just talking down to the bartender.
Well, now, everybody's in character. And the first character is Wyatt Earp. And he's giving him the lowdown. He's like, don't mess with the bartender. So then he goes and messes with the bartender.
Yeah. The bartender eventually shoots a shotgun. Did it have blanks in it?
I think so.
Okay.
So anyway, he calls the bartender like yellow belly and stuff, trying to get his attention. And eventually he just picks up a shotgun full of blanks and fires one off, and Clark falls to the ground.
Yeah.
It's that commentary I was looking for. Nobody seems upset. Like, his family turns around, looks at him, but, you know, not overly upset Dad got shot. But they say, the wife gets mad. She's like, it's not good for the kids' ears. It could make one of them deaf. And it does mess with Audrey. She can't hear. And she's like, what? What? I can't hear you. And Clark's like, oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Oh, what's the difference? Like, damn, you don't care that your daughter's temporary hearing loss? He's really a bit of an ass.
He's just not thinking. Sitting there on the highway, and he's trying to find all these places along the way, these tourist traps.
Right.
Like for some reason it was the world's second largest ball of yarn or something like that. They just want to skip it. Actually, this one's the Mud House.
Yeah.
They're on their way. They're going to make a stop at Cousin Eddie's.
And he said he would rather see a pile of mud.
Yep. But this is where everybody kind of falls asleep, and then Ferrari girl, Christy Brinkley, comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of taken by her, but she seemed equally interested in old Dadbot over here.
Yeah, I don't know.
For a while, I thought she was kind of fake, like he was just imagining her.
Yeah, we were deep into her appearances, and you were like, is she real?
Because I just...
It's because
How obvious is he in all this? Like,
oh, yeah. He's
because
very
later
obviously
on,
checking her out.
there's another scene where everybody's awake. And he's, like, making googly eyes with this bimbo. And...
Yeah. Eventually, his wife wakes up and was like, slow down, you're going 80, because he's keeping up with her.
Yeah. She does have a nice car, though. So then they make it to Cousin Eddie's.
Who doggies do they? He got him a mess of kids. One of them don't got no tongue, so she can't be talking to nobody.
In Coolidge, Texas. And they are
They give white trash a bad name.
They make white trash look good, actually.
Same thing.
I don't know.
I feel like the wife. What's the wife's name?
Catherine.
I feel like old Kathy here's doing her best. But Eddie seems like a real piece of shit.
Eddie's just got, like, terminal... fuck up my life kind of situation.
His belt is a rope with duct tape on it.
Yep. He's got one beer in his hand and he's carrying the one beer remaining out of the 6-pack from the plastic 6-pack holder.
That's right.
And eventually it was weird that he's just sitting there drinking and Clark's beside him and he finds like, oh, I bet you want a cold one. And Clark's like, yeah. And he hands him the one he's been drinking out of and then cracks the other one and starts drinking that himself. Which I thought was weird.
He also throws his beers down on this new car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the kids are going to go show Clark's kids their worm farm.
One of them had a worm farm.
Well, the little girls, Audrey and Vicky, are like on a seesaw. And Vicky says, I go steady and I French kiss. And Audrey's like, yeah, everybody does that. She's like, yeah, but Daddy says I'm the best at it.
Yeah, that's...
Holy fucking incest.
Yeah, that's real questionable.
Questionable?
I don't want to do all that.
God,
that was the first thing that was just like, what the fuck? But after we had watched this, and I was scrolling through the cast, and I was like, she's not in this movie.
Jane Krasinski?
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck? And I kept thinking, and I was like, oh, she's the dog.
Yeah. Yeah,
because I had to think, like, you got to go back 40 years.
Yeah.
But
but
the brother has a worm farm.
Audrey doesn't even say anything to her. She's just like,
you can't.
What? But I'll make a point about it later. Anyway,
what do you say to that?
I don't know.
Like, Mom.
Yeah, you tell somebody.
So Russ is asking Worm Farm Boy, it's like, you got, Pac-Man? No. You got asteroids? He's like, my dad does. Some days he can't even sit on the toilet.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, I got some nudie mags. So
I got a stack of nudie books.
So then they go in his bedroom, start looking at all these magazines, and
Rusty asks if he can buy one from him. And he said, no way, man. I use them all the time. He's like, how do you use a magazine?
He's like, you ever bop your bologna? I was like, oh.
Yeah. Russ about to find out today.
Hard to believe that old boy hadn't jerked his chicken yet. Like,
he's like, what, 12?
He's got to be.
I don't know. I don't have a bologna, so I don't know what age y'all start bopping it.
I mean, pretty much as soon as you see it, I guess. I don't know. I feel like sooner than that.
I don't know. Maybe he does, and he just didn't know you could use nudie books for it.
He's got a good imagination.
Yeah, I don't know. Although I think he hasn't, because later he talks about becoming a man a couple days ago. So.
Oh, that's right. Ooh.
Yeah.
So then you cut to the cookout, which is just a whole shit show in itself.
Yes, it is.
Like, who's the daughter?
Vicky.
Vicky is making Kool-Aid, but she's just straight up, I guess she poured sugar in it, in the jar, and she's just like mixing it up with her bare hands.
She stuck her arm to the elbow in there and just started stirring.
Yeah. Even
though there's a wooden stick or a wooden spoon right there.
Cousin Eddie's grill. I don't know what the fuck he's grilling.
He's grilling hamburger helper without the helper. So like ground down macaroni with powder, but he's making it into the shape of a burger. I honestly don't know. So
there's no meat or anything, but he's grilling some kind of hamburger helper patty. Yeah. Which is apparently way better than tuna helper if you ask Cousin Eddie.
That's what I hear.
But it was weird. They got like the tomatoes, the buns. What did he ask him about the buns? How do you want it?
He said, is this real tomato ketchup? Because it's like in a jar with a little spoon. He's like, oh yeah, nothing but the best.
No, I mean, he asked about his buns. He's like, how do you like yours done? And he's like, oh, medium well. He's like, no, it's talking about the buns. You want it this or that?
Light or dark. Yeah.
So they serve up these progressive vegetarian patties.
Yeah, because he was like, no meat. And Ellen was like, you have meat at home. Shut up and eat your food.
Yeah. But here's the thing I find weird. They have all these tomatoes. There's like a bunch of tomatoes. They have coleslaw over here. But hamburgers? Were hamburgers expensive?
Well, I mean, I guess meat is expensive. I mean, we went to school with people who was like we would get Hamburger Helper in college too, but we would also get the hamburger and put in it. But our friends were like, oh yeah, it's great. My mom taught me how to make it without the hamburger.
I never even thought about that until after that conversation. And I was like, some of them probably are pretty decent without it.
Yeah.
Then you had Aunt Edna.
Aunt Edna. Which Clark apparently has a history with because Ellen really doesn't want to tell him that she's there.
Yeah.
But Ellen and Catherine are sitting at the table before, like, making sides and stuff, and she tells her that Aunt Edna's there and that she came down to help with stuff and that they wouldn't be able to have all this if it wasn't for her Social Security check. That she wants to go home, but Eddie won't let her.
Because they're using the money.
Because you're using her for Social Security. So over dinner, Aunt Edna said, so, have you told Clark the good news? He was like, oh, good news? He was like, yeah, you're driving me to Phoenix.
Yeah, and he kind of loses his patty at that point.
Oh, yeah.
But later that night, French Kiss Girl shows...
Vicky is showing Audrey her prize for raising a pig. And she says, does anybody know about this? And she's like, yeah, everybody knows about it. And she's like, well, farming isn't exactly cool. And she's like, oh, isn't this cool? And like whips out a shoebox full of pot. But here's my issue. Audrey's not going to say shit to her about kissing her dad, but she's going to tell her that farming ain't cool.
Which I thought was kind of fucked up anyway, because if nobody farms shit, you don't have stuff at the grocery store.
Yeah, but if you're like a teenage girl, do you want to be known as the farmer?
I guess not, but...
Yeah, but I just thought it was weird that she was like, oh, farming isn't cool, but go ahead and French kiss your daddy. I'm not going to tell mom or have him put in prison for the rest of his life. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, but she has a whole shoebox full of weed.
Yeah, so they spent their night getting high. And then she saw her off the next morning with a handful of joints.
Yep. But that night, downstairs, all the adults were sitting there, and Cousin Eddie's like, I'm real glad you're doing real good, Clark. And then Aunt Edna's like,
Well, he says I got laid off from the asbestos plant.
Yeah.
And then the military cut my pension in half because they said the plate in my head wasn't big enough. And then Aunt Edna was like, just ask him for the money. He's clearly never going to get that you're hinting about it.
Yeah. So he asks Clark if he could spare some money, and Clark pulls his wallet out, and he's pulling his money out, and he's like, how much you need? And Cousin Eddie's like, about $52,000 ought to do it, and he just shoves his money right back in.
Yeah.
So the next day, they take off. They have Aunt Edna. They have her crazy-ass fucking dog.
Yeah, Dinky.
Who just bites everybody.
Yeah, so they find out they got to take this dog with them. Now, they didn't meet Dinky last night because he had explosive diarrhea and had to spend the night in the barn. But he is ferocious. He's just trying to bite absolutely everybody. Now, also, Cousin Eddie makes real sure that Aunt Edna is going to keep sending those checks every month.
Oh, yeah. He won't go let her go home otherwise.
That's right.
So then, the next day, they're at a rest stop and they're having
I think it's that day. It's while they leave and then later that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're at a rest stop and they're having a little picnic, and he sees Ferrari Girl again, and she's got like a little, some type of beer.
I thought it was just like a glass bottle of soda.
No, some type of beer or miniature bottle of champagne. But she's doing like dancing at him, and he's done the same thing with his bologna sandwich.
Right. He kind of very suggestively kind of spreads it open.
Yeah, he's
doing some wild stuff.
Yeah. And everybody else is there. Like, how do they not see
right
him acting all weird?
Yeah, right in front of his family.
So, in the middle of all this, they find out that the dog peed in the cooler.
Right. Which everybody throws their same away except for Aunt Edna, who...
She just kind of shrugs her shoulders. Like,
unbothered by it.
But the Ferrari Girl had a belt on that I can only describe as a WWF belt.
Oh, well, belts were just bigger then.
So then they get to this... I guess instead of staying in a hotel, they found this tent rental place.
They're in Colorado at Camp Comfort, spelled with K's.
Oh.
Just Camp Comfort is spelled with K's, not Colorado. It's not like the KKK tent rental.
That'd be highly questionable.
I mean, no more questionable than anything else in this fucking movie. But it's $37 for 3 tents. And he acts like that is unfucking godly.
I mean, I guess back in the day.
You think? I mean, that's like $10 a tent plus tax.
Back in the day, I guess. But they have a pool. The kids are excited for this pool.
Right.
Which turns out to be disgusting.
It's
it
pretty
hasn't
gross.
been cleaned in, it looks like years.
But the geese seem to be liking it, though.
Yeah.
He tells Rusty to take care of the dog. He's like, but it bites. He's like, well, bite him back. And just walks away.
Yeah.
I was like, you are a shit father. Like, what the fuck?
And everybody gets all settled in at night. And Dinky.
Yeah, Dinky.
Dinky's a cock block.
Yes, I have Dinky equals cock block. Clark and Ellen is sharing one sleeping bag, even though it is entirely too small. Ellen thinks it's a wild animal, but it turns out to be Dinky, and he's like biting at the feet.
Basically a wild animal.
He is basically a wild animal. And he says, I'll kill that dog. Look, it's foreshadowing.
Yep.
Son of a bitch. I don't think he did it on accident anymore. This dirty motherfucker right here.
I think he did. So
I think he's a psychopath.
They're packing up the car the next day.
He says, I know it's been rough, but hasn't it been fun? And she says, no.
Well, she was shaking her head, yeah, but she said no. And then she said, but every day brings fresh new hope.
Yeah.
I thought she said every day brings a fresh new hell.
Yes, she did.
Which was more in line with the movie. So he's got the dog while Russ is trying to help Aunt Edna up to the car. The dog's biting him. He's trying to put stuff in the car, and he kind of wraps the leash around the bumper. And he's finishing tying everything down on top and getting everybody in the car or whatever, but he forgets to put the dog in the car.
Yes, he does.
But you don't really know that for a little bit. Because they're all like, what's that noise? And then they get pulled over.
Yes. So they get pulled over. Audrey has all those joints in her purse, and she asks Aunt Edna to hold her purse for her. And she's like, what? She's like, just hold it. So she makes this little old lady hold her bag. The cops come up to the window. The cop comes up to the window. Is just pissed off. Makes Clark get out and walks him back there and shows him. Talking about animal cruelty laws and poor little guy probably held on for about a mile or two and kept up with you. And they said that scene between him and the cop was completely improvised, and if you watch, both of them are just trying not to break in laughter. So he gets back in the car after he's convinced the cop that it was all by accident. And he tells the family he was speeding because Edna doesn't realize her dog's not there and they don't want to upset her. And about that time, the cop comes back in the car, hands him the leash. He's like, here's your leash. I'm going to go back and get the rest of the carcass off the street.
And that's when Aunt Edna realizes and she kind of loses it a little bit.
But I know Aunt Edna's old and all, but does she not realize her fucking dog isn't in the car?
Guess what they had in the back? She might have thought it was asleep. I don't know. I don't know why nobody realized.
Nobody realized. They're all fucking monsters.
Especially this terrorist of a dog. Like,
yeah, you think you'd be on your toes with that thing, right?
Alright, so then they end up at a drive-in restaurant. The girl brings their food out, and he's like, nah, it's a new car. I'll take it from here. And he sets the thing on the window, and it shatters the window and all the food breaks.
Yes, you don't set it on the window. You have to roll that all the way down.
So just in one day, just this day, today, he's killed a dog and broken the window.
Right. And the day's not over.
Nope.
Oh, so they're back on the road again after the window breaks. His family is again asleep, and out comes Ferrari Girl.
Yeah.
I can really see why you thought she might be a figment of his imagination. She just keeps
showing
popping
up in random places.
And we have never seen this movie before, but we do like Christmas Vacation. And in that one, he does fantasize about a girl that's not there.
The girl at the lingerie counter.
Yeah, being in the pool.
Yep. So then after he flirts with Ferrari Girl for a little bit, the next thing happens is they lose some of their luggage.
No.
They don't know.
He flirts with the Ferrari Girl, and then he starts imagining himself in her car, and then they full on run off the road. Like, he almost hits a car and has to swerve, and they run off the road.
But nobody wakes up until he's ran off the road to the left side, overcorrected off to the right, and then back on, and then they wake up.
Right. And then his wife kind of yells at him, and one of them says, the worst is behind us. And that's when they run over a speed bump and lose their suitcases.
Yeah.
Or a couple of their suitcases.
They're still on the road, and he hasn't been paying attention. Their signs saying the road's closed ahead, and they're like, Dad, I think this road's closed. Like, no, there'd be big signs. And then I guess he turns around like those as he runs through them.
Right.
And one of them says something about being lost, and they can't find the Grand Canyon. He's like, it's just the biggest fucking hole in the world.
So it says that the stunt coordinator that drove the car off of the canyon, or what the fuck ever he drove it off of, said that the stunt coordinator was Dick Zicker. Made a bet against the other crew members that he would be able to jump the family truckster more than 50 feet during the desert scene, and won. So he got some air.
50 feet or 50 yards?
50 feet. So he got some air.
So yeah, then when he drives through the road closed signs, they do hit something and launches the car. It looked like it totaled the car.
It did, but it popped all 4 tires. Something happened under the hood.
Well, he pretty much face planted it in the dirt.
Yeah, he did. Oh, it says that the scene where the dog was tied to the bumper was written in the middle of the film. That said, appearing on Late Night with David Letterman in 1983, Ramis told the host that the crew was staying at a hotel in Durango, Colorado, and saw a car begin to drive off with the dog still attached. They were able to stop the driver before the pooch got towed. So
they didn't come up with all these disasters on their own.
It just kind of happened. They said that it was very much, they filmed in like 15 different locations in a bunch of different states. So they kind of had their own little road trip adventure. So we were at where he wrecks the car.
So they're all trying to recover all their stuff. And Clark finds a beer along the way, pulls Russ aside and has a little heart-to-heart with him, shares a beer with him.
Well, he says, I haven't had many chances to have a man-to-man conversation with you. And this is where Rusty says, well, I've only been a man for a few days, Dad.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time he jacked off. He bopped his bologna. That cracked me up. It was probably the only time I laughed at the whole movie.
I laughed a few times.
Also, that is not his first beer.
No, because Clark opens it up, takes a drink, starts talking, hands it to Russ, and Russ, while Clark's talking, Russ just fucking chugs the thing.
Yeah.
When he hands it back, it's empty.
Clark doesn't even notice. Like, he tries to take a drink, realizes it's empty, just crushes it and goes on. He's not like, hey, son, I don't think this is your first rodeo.
I feel like he was a little distracted. He's about to go try to find a service station or something.
Still. Also, this is the point where Ellen has just had enough of Aunt Edna.
Yeah.
She's yelling about how Clark shouldn't have a driver's license and let me out and blah, 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 blah. We shouldn't let him do anything. And she starts yelling at her to get back in that car. And I swear to God, if you get out, I'm going to punch you in the mouth.
Well, she shows her fist. Like, if you get out, I'm going to split your lip.
Yeah, she's had enough. She pushes her sleeves up, puts her hair behind her ears. Like, she's getting ready to throw down with this old lady for real. So Clark leaves to go find help in the middle of the fucking desert.
Yeah, and it shows that at one point he's got I don't know why he put his jacket on anyway. He's got the sleeves rolled up, but at one point he's got it tied around his head, and then at one point he took his jeans off, and he's got those tied around his head.
At one point he's just too hot for his watch, and he's got to shed that. And meanwhile, there's some Native Americans on a horse that are like, stupid asshole.
Yeah, so he's just yelling shit about the desert.
Yeah.
So they don't help him.
They don't, but they go back and help the family.
Yeah, they do go back and help the family. So when he finally makes it to this service station, she's on the phone, like, trying to call the cops. Like,
yeah.
He's missing.
She was like, I don't know how tall he is or how much he weighs. And I was like, bitch, he's your fucking husband. Like, what the fuck? At one point, he trips over a skeleton in the desert.
Yeah.
So this gas station fixes all of his tires, and then they just rob him.
Basically. Like,
he's like, how much is it? And they were like, it's everything you have. They threaten him with a wrench, so he gives them everything they have, which I think he says is like $500. And he was like, I wonder what your sheriff would think about your business practices. And the one guy just whips out the badge. He is the sheriff. So then they're in the car trying to take a total of how much money everybody has, because Ellen's credit cards and money were in one of the pieces of luggage that they lost. And her diaphragm. Which is a problem because Clark just keeps trying to get all frisky.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps saying they can cash a check somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they go to the hotel.
Well, I initially thought it was a hotel, but I think it's just a, tourist spot right by the Grand Canyon. I don't think it's an actual hotel.
I think it is a hotel because he said the only way I can do it is if
you stay here.
Yeah, because he tries to pay for the rooms with his credit card. and they won't take it because he shut off Ellen's credit card, so it shut off his as well. So it won't take his credit card, and then they won't take his check because he wants to write a check for like more than the amount and then get cash back.
Yeah. So
Which used to be a thing, fellas, if you're listening. Like how you get cash back with your debit card, you can write a check at Kroger for like 20 over and then get $20.
You still can if you're
a monster.
70 years old. So he's mad that the guy won't do it. He's writing the check anyway.
He says he's going to write it for $1,000, and then you just give me $300, and you can keep $700 just for being a prick.
Yeah. As the guy walks away, he kind of slams the counter, and the cash register opens.
Right.
And he sees his moment of opportunity. He shoves his check in the cash register, takes all the cash,
the money. And then they got to go real quick.
Yeah.
Ellen's like, "Well, don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon?" He holds her, and they pose, and he's like, "Yep, that's great. Get in the fucking car."
So they leave, and a little bit later, you find out, Edna's dead.
Edna died. He pulls off to the side of the road. They all bail out. Audrey keeps screaming, "A dead person breathed on me!" Which,
that's not how it works.
Nope, definitely not what happened, Audrey.
Surprised she didn't shit herself. Like
Edna?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun fact, guys.
So, Clark initially says, let's just leave her here, call her son Norman.
Yeah.
And tell him where she's at and he can find her. And Russ is like, it'll be easy to find her. Just look for the buzzards.
Yeah. Yeah.
They eventually settle on strapping her to the roof.
Well, Clark says, fine, we'll drive her to his house. I just didn't want to get, where is it?
Involved in a funeral.
I just didn't want to get involved in a funeral and all that. We already only have 3 days at Wally World as it is. Like, god damn. So, he said, well, she doesn't look any heavier than 100 pounds. And Ellen's like, you are not strapping her to the luggage rack. And the kids are totally for it because they do not want to ride in the car with her.
Yeah.
So they strap her sitting up to the luggage rack and then throw a blanket over her. So they make it to Phoenix where her son Norman lives.
He's decided to go to Flagstaff and he won't be back for a couple months.
Yeah, until Monday. So they carry her through the rain to see if a back door's open. I guess they were just going to leave her in the house until Monday. The door's not open, so they leave her in a chair outside with an umbrella and a note pinned to her. They tie her to the chair so she stays up, and they give a little eulogy and leave.
But they never address this later on, ever.
Like, why didn't they call the cops and let the cops deal with this dead body? Like, they could have gotten her to, like, a morgue.
I don't know.
Some cold storage. Like, Norman is going to come home from Flagstaff on Monday, and the neighborhood dogs are going to be out back eating his dead mother.
Yep.
Like, the cats. Like, it's just going to be mommy buffet out back.
But what kind of son is he if he was letting her live with Cousin Eddie?
But still, who the fuck are these people that they just left this woman out in the open? Why did nobody call the authorities?
Well, I mean, she's dead. Ain't nobody gonna hurt her.
This has to be like... That has to be a crime.
I don't know.
It is definitely a crime. What's that called? What's the crime called when you improperly dispose of a dead body?
Improper disposal of a dead body. Failure.
Failure to properly dispose of a human body. Yeah, so like...
It doesn't make the movie as good.
Do you need them to just leave her out there? Could you imagine somebody leaving you out there? That's awful. It's fucked up, dude.
I mean, if I'm dead, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Except for old Normie that comes home on Monday and finds Mom out in the backyard half-eaten.
But we don't know. They never addressed that.
They never address it again. You're right. There are other vacation movies. I don't know if they ever mention it in those.
Not the one. I've only seen the one other one. But
So, everybody wants to go back home. I think Rusty's the first one to say it, or Audrey, one of the kids, says, let's just cut our losses and go back home. And then Ellen says, yeah, Clark, I really think we should just go home. Like, there's no reason to keep driving. It's insufferable. We got to go back home. And he loses his shit.
Yes. He says, I think you're all fucked in the head. We're 10 hours away from the fucking fun park and you want to bail out. Well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun. You're going to have fun. I'm going to have fun. We're all going to have so much fucking fun. We're going to need plastic surgery to remove our goddamn smiles. You'll be whistling zippity-doo-dah out of your asshole.
That's right. It is a patented Clark Griswold pep speech.
Not quite as good as the Christmas one, but still decent.
Right. Now, he is clearly been known to have these speeches because when they're back in the hotel, him and Ellen start fighting because he needs to watch his language around the kids. He said, when you go off on one of your moods, you need to watch your mouth around the kids.
Yeah. And he says what she needs to do, or she has an uncanny ability to look at the dark side of everything.
So, they get in their little tiff. Like a tiny, I wouldn't even call it a fight. They get into a little tiff. And he puts on these white shoes that Cousin Eddie bought him. Real gaudy, ugly shoes.
Cousin Eddie didn't buy him, he just gave him his.
No, he bought him a new pair. He bought him his own pair because he liked his so much.
Because he complimented. But because Cousin Eddie wears those shoes to the Christmas party. Yeah.
So, he puts on those shoes and goes to the hotel bar. And he sits at the bar next to a woman.
This is the part where
he becomes an ass?
Yeah. But because he goes to the bar, he orders a beer, and then he starts just trying to sit next to every woman he sees.
I'm not sure he ordered that beer.
I think he was standing at the other side.
Because he sat down with that one lady, and she wouldn't give him the time of the day. So he moved and he sat down next to another lady, and the waitress walked over and put a beer down, and then put a check down. But then that girl's boyfriend or husband or whatever came back and got up. I think it was the boyfriend's beer.
No, he had a different drink set. There was a drink set in front. I think he ordered when he was standing at the end of the bar, because he did wave.
Okay.
And they just brought him wherever he ended. But if I get into an argument with you, and I go to the hotel bar, which is probably less than 100 yards away from anywhere or any part of this hotel campus, I'm not going to be sitting there trying to mac on some girl.
He tries two girls at the bar. Then he goes and sits at the table, and Ferrari girl sits down with him.
Just magically shows up.
Right.
That's why I'm like, he's got to be imagining this girl.
Right.
Because then it gets worse because they end up outside at the pool.
Well,
she strips down.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, he lies to her.
She says, are you on a family vacation? And he says, no, I own the hotel, and I'm just checking them out. And she said, oh, it's too bad you're married. And she says, I'm not married. And starts laking up this shit about how it's his brother's family, and he borrows the family and borrows the brother's wedding ring once a year to go check on all these hotels. And she's like, oh, I thought you were going to tell me you were in the CIA, which I guess was a pickup line back then. And he was like, oh, no. I mean, I used to be, but now I'm just real focused on my hotels.
Yeah.
So then they walk out to the pool, where she just strips down and skinny dip jumps into the pool.
Yeah, she's not deterred by his lying or
and
any
she
of that
knows
at
he's
all.
lying. And she's like, are you not going to join me? And he's like, she says, can you swim? Are you not going to join me? And he's like, oh yeah, I can swim. So then he turns into a fucking, like, Olympic gold medalist. Like, he just keeps talking about all these strokes he can do. And he strips down except for his socks. Like, he takes his underwear off but leaves his socks on. And jumps in this pool with this woman. Again, not 100 feet from his wife.
He's definitely thinking with the wrong head.
And then, it's so cold, he starts to scream.
Which
and wakes up the entire hotel. And that includes his wife and children, who come outside to see what's going on. So everybody sees him naked in this pool with this naked woman.
How mad would you be?
Well, pretty bad. Pretty fucking mad.
Asking for a friend.
His family sees him, and the wife just shakes her head and goes back in the room.
Well, you could tell she was mad.
And instead of him immediately jumping out of the pool and following her, he swims over to the naked chick.
Well, he was like, excuse me. He jumps out of the pool right there.
It was like, I have to go. And she was like, I know. And he was like, if I wasn't married. And she was like, I know. And I was like, what the fuck? So, like, your wife saw you naked with this bitch. She storms off. And you're still telling this bitch, if I wasn't married, I'd be fucking you in this pool right now?
Basically.
He goes upstairs. And the son, Rusty's like, I'm going to go talk to him. And he tells Rusty this bullshit.
That she's a pool waitress and he was ordering food for them all.
Yeah, he was ordering everybody fish. She was the pool waitress.
Rusty's
I would never do anything to hurt you or your mom.
Yeah.
And he's just like, cool.
He goes, well, you think mom's going to buy that?
Yeah. So he goes in. in bed, under the covers. He walks up to her and was like, Ellen, are you mad? And she was like, no, I'm not mad. I understand. I'm just not enough for you. Is that what you want? Like, what the fuck? What? And he
I
apologizes.
don't think she said I'm not enough.
Yes, she did.
Are you sure?
Yes. And she was like, that's what you want. And he was like, no, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. And then she says, I'm sorry too. So she apologizes to him. I'm not wild and spontaneous enough. And then walks outside and then she gets naked in the pool.
They both end up back in the pool and wake everybody up again because the water's cold and she starts screaming.
Clark is a real asshole. But Ellen needs to grow herself a set of fucking balls and tell him he needs to get his shit together. Like, what the fuck? Like, number one, you're gonna let him go on this cross-country trip knowing it's a bad fucking idea. You've been together long enough because you have 2 teenage kids. So you know how it's gonna go. You know exactly how it's gonna end. Like, when something's gonna go bad with us, the other one knows, like, this is exactly how this is gonna go.
Anytime we try to put furniture together.
So, she knows how it's gonna go. She didn't insist on flying. And then she watches him, I fuck this bitch, for fucking 2,000 miles across the goddamn country.
She never saw the one before.
Then she's not paying good enough attention. He totals the car, he loses the money, he kills a dog, he left her aunt's fucking dead body outside for days, and now she's apologizing to him because he was trying to cheat on her? What the holy motherfuck is this shit?
The 80s.
Were women not fucking crazy in the 80s? Cause I'd have stabbed a motherfucker. It wasn't even like they had a big fight. They had a little tiff, and he hit on 3 women and got naked with one of them. So what do they do when they have a big fight?
Who knows?
I'm gonna stop yelling. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like how did they stay together for this long?
I have no idea. They had to have had other disagreements.
And then he's less of an asshole in Christmas Vacation.
But still a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say not an asshole. I said less. So done there.
How did the kids ever look at him the same again? Like, my parents were never happily married during a time I can remember. Like, they got divorced when I was like 4. But assuming you have happily married parents, how do you just catch your dad naked with some other woman and ever be able to look at him again? Like, that's teaching the son that it's okay and teaching the daughter that men are asshole. Like,
he already knew it. The son knew it was wrong. He was like, I'm gonna go talk to dad. Like, and he kind of did. Like, be like, is mom gonna buy that? Get your shit together.
Fucking wild. Anyway, go ahead. Let's move on past the pool. I'm sure we'll revisit it in the reviews.
So the next day they actually make it to Wally World, and you immediately know something is wrong because there is no traffic. There's nobody in the parking lot.
Yeah, the parking lot's completely empty.
And even though there's nobody in the parking lot, he decides to park kind of like middle back.
Yeah, so they could be the first ones out.
Like, you're not trying to race home after that, right?
So they think they're just the first ones there. So they have the slow-mo running into the park scene. And they make it to the park, and what's the moose?
Wally
the moose has a sign up saying closed for 2 weeks for cleaning and maintenance. And Clark loses his shit and says he owes us. We watch his show, we give him money, we do this, we buy his shit, he owes us.
But I guess Google now, but I feel like maybe they should have called
a travel agent, something. Yeah. It probably was on the news that a large national theme park was going to be closed for 2 weeks. Yeah. So he gets mad. They leave. He takes the family to a gas station. He tells her to put the gas in the car, and he's going to go across the street to the sporting goods store.
Yeah. And he comes out with a white paper bag, and you immediately know this is not going to end well.
So they speed back to Wally World. They're walking in. He just has his hand in the white paper bag. They walk up to a security booth, and he's like, oh man, we're closed. The moose out front should have told ya. And he was like, we've driven 2,460 miles. And pulls out the gun and kind of takes him captive and makes him open up the rides and go on the rides with him.
Right before that, the second guard comes out.
Yeah.
He's like, sit. The guy gets down to his knees, puts his hands up. He's like, sit, roll over, and stay.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
Is a black cop or a black security guard, which makes it seem kind of even worse. Especially given how black people were treated earlier in the movie, that he treated this one exactly like a dog.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Yeah. So, they're trying to calm the kids and Ellen are trying to calm the security guard down because he's just being held at gunpoint on roller coasters. And she's like, we're not violent people. This is our first ever gun.
And Clark's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Which is funny because in Christmas Vacation, she tells his boss that this is our first kidnapping. But it is not.
It is not.
So the kid said, Mom, what's going on? And she's like, well, your father may be going away for a little while after this is over.
Yeah.
But it's just wild that everybody goes along with this. And here's another thing with Ellen. Like, why doesn't Ellen tell him no, smack that gun out of his hand, take her kids, and fly the fuck home?
Gotta do what the man says, man. It's the 80s. It's the only reason I could think of her being with him.
I have no idea why she doesn't just take the fuck over. So it shows them going on all these different rides, and in the meantime, you're watching SWAT assemble in the parking lot. So the security guard, who is John Candy, figures it out at some point. He's like, that's not a real gun, is it? He's like, it's a BB gun, huh? And he was like, it could get embedded in your skin and cause an infection. I could put out your eye. And he was like, I don't think so. And he walks away, and he shoots him in the ass with it.
He tried to walk. He tried to get up out of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So he sits back down. He's complaining.
He tells him he's going to have to pay for his pants.
Yeah.
So they get off the roller coaster, and the SWAT team is there.
SWAT team's there. They have everybody up against the wall. Mr. Wally shows up.
Roy Wally, the owner of the park, comes in. Now, how the fuck? Because he's trying to get explanations from everybody, and everybody's talking, and he tells everybody to shut up. And Clark puts his hands up, walks over to him, and then just walks around in circles with him while they're handcuffing his family. But how does the SWAT team and these cops and security guards all let Clark walk around arm in arm with this millionaire?
Yeah, it was a little iffy.
Very weird. So he tells him the plight of their situation, everything that's happened, and he decides not to press charges.
Yeah, he tells all about the trip and everything is fucked up, and we finally get here and it's closed. But Mr. Wiley tells him about one of their family vacations to Florida.
Right.
And it was the worst trip of his life. And I guess he kind of saw.
But shouldn't it really be, maybe him to press charges or not for, trespassing and breaking and entering. But shouldn't it really be up to John Candy's character if he wants to press, kidnapping charges? He was the one held at gunpoint all day.
But did they kidnap him?
At gunpoint, yes.
Yes, they kidnapped him, but legally, because they never took him off the property.
They still held him against his will.
That's debatable.
I think just because he had fun, because he was excited and he had fun and he rode a roller coaster and didn't throw up.
Yeah.
So they don't press charges. The movie ends and they show pictures of the trip at all the tourist traps. Oof.
Oh, the very last picture was them on a plane going home.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
What'd they do with their car?
I don't know. It's fucked up anyway.
So there was a different ending originally. Oh, the movie was, part of it was written by John Hughes, and then they didn't like some of because he told it from Rusty's perspective. So Harold Ramis and Chevy Chase kind of rewrote it the way it is now. The original ending had Clark driving to Roy Wally's home, bursting in and shooting him in the leg.
Jesus.
And then forcing Wally and his cohorts to sing and dance at gunpoint. Griswold was taken to jail. It said Harold Ramis shot it as it was written, but test audience on the Warner lot proved that what Hughes suspected, that a home invasion wasn't going to play on film. He rewrote the ending, and the Griswolds enjoyed their own private, bloodless Wally World experience. And that's how John Candy got hired last second to be the security guard. Wally World, while it is supposed to be a stand-in for Disney World, was shot at Six Flags Magic Mountain in California. So, like I said, John Hughes wrote the original script, said that after Harold Ramis and Chevy Chase retooled the script, Ramis said he knew John Hughes was upset over his material being reworked. And so John Hughes said he was going to start directing his own movies because he's tired of seeing his scripts being ruined by directors. And then he wrote and directed 16 Candles. So them redoing this kind of set off John Hughes'
movie career. They did him a favor.
Rat Pack movie career. Brat Pack. So we got some rips. Aunt Edna died in real life too. She was Imogene Coca. She died in 2001 at the age of 92. Roy Wally was Eddie Bracken. He died in 2002 at the age of 87. John Candy was the security guard. He died in 94 at age 43. And Harold Ramis, who directed it, died in 2014 at 69. And I guess technically John Hughes wrote it and he also died. I don't have the stats there, though. Alright, so you want to take a stab at the...
Domotometer? I think I saw one.
You son of a bitch.
I think it was 93 for the critics.
Yes.
Didn't see the audience. Was it 85?
Yes.
85?
Yes. Seems like you did see it. It says, blessed by the brilliant, befuddled star turned from Chevy Chase, National Lampoon's Vacation is one of the more consistent and thoroughly quotable screwball comedies of the 1980s.
There's a couple of quotes in there.
I would say Roll 'em Up is the one I hear most often.
I don't think anybody's quoting that.
No, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, in daily life and then in other TV shows and movies. Anytime they're in like a uncomfortable situation.
Do you think it actually references that, or it's just...
No, it's definitely referenced from this.
I don't know.
But what else is quotable?
Oh, his whole... I think you're fucking fucked in the head.
Nah. Alright, so it's time for...
Ratchet Reviews.
Half a star. I gotta say, I try to pick Ratchet reviews that there's something wrong with or we're not going to agree with. But I tend to agree with most all of these this week, so I don't know if you're going to be able to be your, like, angry rage monster that you turn into during reviews. So, half a star. This movie is unbearable. It's entirely unfunny. Did everyone in the 80s just have a terrible sense of humor that now perpetuate a nostalgia-fueled image of this movie being a classic? All of the other cringy plots and completely tone-deaf jokes aside, Clark's wife should have left him somewhere in the middle of the movie. Just bought some plane tickets for her and the kids and left Clark to rot in the desert. And if not then definitely after he was naked in a pool with naked Christy Brinkley. Throw the whole damn man away. Throw the whole movie away.
I'm not defending Clark here. Whoa! We forgot something. The short shorts. When he gets out of the car in the parking lot of Wally World. Holy shit.
I didn't so much have a problem with him because my dad is 6'1" and I grew up in the 80s and he wore short shorts.
But I mean, look at those things.
Your dad is also like, he's taller than my dad. Does he not have short shorts?
I guess he did, but not in modern times. So let's go back. I'm not defending him.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, if you get a chance to swim naked with Christy Brinkley in 1983, don't you do it? No? Okay, never mind.
While
asking for a friend.
While married?
I mean, I guess he doesn't know who the fuck.
Also, Holiday Road is an obnoxious song befitting a horrendous movie.
For that one.
It's through the entire goddamn entire movie. Holiday Road. It's a lot. Anyway, I don't know if the movie is as bad as she's saying it is, but she should have thrown the whole damn man away about halfway through this movie.
Yeah.
Also, when did they start putting the orange tips on guns that weren't real? Because this one definitely doesn't have an orange tip on it. Was that like a 90s invention? 1 star. Gotta love that subtle racism. It really wasn't that subtle.
I guess they thought it was subtle for the time.
It was not subtle. 1 star. In the history of comedy, I don't think there's a film I've seen that feels this dated. National Lampoon's Vacation focuses on the misadventures of the Griswold family as they make their way across America by car to go to the theme park Wally World for their summer vacation. What should have been a light family comedy is so ridiculously sleazy, racist, misogynistic, and fucking grim. Every single scene, be it a dog dying, Clark hiding his wedding ring as he propositions a younger woman and his wife blaming herself, the hint of incest and pedophilia with the wacky cousin Eddie, the endless nudity, the great aunt dying and being left outside her son's house, or an unhinged Clark pulling a gun on a security guard. It'll all just make you want a cold shower after. Humor like this can be for the benefit of a film, but the worst part in this case is that it's just not funny. Every joke is played so quickly and without conviction that the writers and directors don't even bother coming up with a punchline and just move on to the next crap. The film plods along episodically and it's just a delight when it finally finishes. Fuck this film.
I mean, I feel like they took it hard, but I can't really argue against.
Yeah, it's a little rough. So those were all my Ratchet reviews. What do you want to give it?
I gave it a 3.
I was torn between 2.5 and 3, but probably a 3. No, I will say I hadn't seen this movie before. It was born before I came out. Jesus Christ. It came out before I was born. And I hadn't seen Christmas Vacation until, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I didn't like it the first time I saw it. You really didn't like it the first time you saw it.
It didn't really resonate with me the first time.
But now...
But I don't know if I was paying attention because it's always on at Christmas.
But now I love it. And it gets funnier to me every time I watch it.
I think that's because the more life experience you have, the more shit goes wrong, the more you feel like Clark in that movie.
Right. Now, I can appreciate this movie for the same way I can appreciate that, is that we all have one of these stories. Yeah. We all have like a road trip, family vacation situation gone wrong.
Man, but did you have, let's see, stealing, adultery, racism,
kidnapping,
improper
disposal of a dead body, murdering incest, a dog, animal cruelty. I mean, they don't go quite that bad, but no.
Daddy says I'm the best.
No, I'm saying none of mine have gone quite that badly. But we all have like a story where we were on a family trip and shit went bad.
Speaking of incest, what percentage...
I wasn't speaking of incest.
What percentage of incest do you think is not pedophilia? Because it's not 0.
So you're saying...
Do you think like 1%?
Of incest isn't also pedophilia? I do not have those stats on me. And you cannot make me Google it. Because that shit is not coming up. That shit is not coming up for me.
All of a sudden, all the porn suggestions are like stepmom and brother and sister. Like, what the fuck is going on?
That's so funny.
Because that person that said, incest and pedophilia, and I was like, wait a minute. I know one, like, there's that one couple that they're trying to have a fucking baby. They found out they were cousins or brother and sister.
I can't say I keep up with incest people. Are there like trading cards or?
I don't know. Dude, the Garbage Pail Kids type cards for terrible people would be awesome. If you could find a way not to have to pay those people to use, maybe if you just use caricatures and like do that little blur, like any likeness like is purely coincidental.
Like O.J. Simpson instead of Simpson.
Naranja Samson.
What?
Spanish for horn.
Oh my god, you and your fucking Spanish lessons.
Hey, I'm culturing myself. Is that it? Or?
I think that's pretty much it. I'd say give it a 3. It may be funnier if we watch it again. I don't know. I kind of don't think so. I kind of think it didn't. So, because you kind of don't think it aged well.
All the slight racism just kind of. It's not very slight.
Yeah, I don't think it aged great. I don't find a lot of movies like this funny. I do find Christmas Vacation funny, but like I don't tend to like a lot of Chevy Chase's other films either.
I don't know.
Like the slapsticky kind of.
Like Jim Carrey type shit?
Yeah. Like I'm not really here for any of that.
Would you, if they redid it, who do you think would play Chevy Chase?
They didn't redo it, but they made a vacation movie with Russ grown up, and we haven't seen it either. Our friends talk about it literally all the time. The dude from The Office and The Hangover was Rusty, and Christina Applegate was his wife, and then they had kids, and they were in the, like, Winnebago RV situation. I think there was some drug smuggling or something.
Meet the Millers?
Am I blending things? I'm blending things. Oh my god.
I don't even think I've seen Meet the Millers, but...
Alright, let me try again. No, I'm decently right. Is Vacation in 2015. Remembering fond childhood memories of his trips to Wally World, Rusty Griswold, played by Ed Helms, surprises his wife, Christina Applegate, and 2 sons with a cross-country excursion to America's favorite fun park. Following in his father's footsteps, Rusty and the gang pack up the car and hit the road for some much-needed family bonding. Soon, the promise of fun turns into a misadventure for another. Promise of fun turns into one misadventure after another for the next generation of Griswolds and anyone who encounters them. So, I may have got the RV part incorrect. That may be Meet the Millers.
I don't think they're referencing that movie. I think they're just referencing this one in Christmas Vacation.
What?
I don't think they're really references in the new one. You said Our Friends.
Well, they're either talking about that new movie or they're talking about We Are the Millers. When they're telling us these stories about this movie we need to see. But I've somehow blended them together.
Millers. I think Millers.
Okay. So, there is kind of a new one. It only has 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I can see that.
Oh, it's got Chris Hemsworth in it, though. Alright, sorry, what did you say? Now that I've completely fucked up everything.
I was just saying if they redid it, who would be Chevy Chase? I feel like Will Ferrell does a lot of that stuff, but he's older, so you'd have to have a younger. Jim Carrey would have been good in the day. Not a fan.
He doesn't sit right with me. But I do love The Grinch.
Now, is that because of movies, or that he's weird, or the whole Jenny McCarthy thing?
All of it. I don't like the movies. I don't care for him. I definitely don't care for the Jenny McCarthy thing. I don't think you want somebody wacky. I think you want somebody that can play it straight.
But you need somebody that can bring the weirdness. And if it's somebody that's not known for that and then all of a sudden does it, it's even better.
I don't know. I always give you a heads up when I'm going to ask questions.
Like, who would you like to see just lose their shit and everybody be like, what? Like,
oh, it'd have to be some, family-friendly, cuddly...
Ben Kingsley. Like that type stuff. Like
Benedict Cumberbatch?
he can play losing his stuff. Or like Morgan, like if you just saw Morgan Freeman just lose his shit.
I feel like Morgan Freeman probably loses his shit a lot.
But he always plays like the
put together character.
He's very much put together. He always seems very thoughtful.
Do you have any road trip stories you would like to share? Family vacations gone wrong?
I don't have the vacations gone wrong. I do have road trip stories where I used to have a truck that was almost as old as I was when I went to college.
Yeah.
That the speedometer didn't work. It just it started at 0 and it would go up until it hit the peg if you were moving forward. And if you were moving backward, it would just stay at 0. But eventually that peg broke. So anytime you were moving forward, it just...
They can't see that.
They could hear that.
Spun the whole time.
So there was always this mountain that we came down. And I was basically just coast down it behind whatever car that I thought was going the speed limit. But the one time I did get pulled over, we had 7 people in this truck.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun.
I don't know how. I feel like everybody's parents dropped the ball by letting... A lot of people from our hometown went to the same college, but that college is 3 hours away. And you had a truck that had a camper on the back, sometimes kinda. And instead of people figuring out how to get their kid or going up and picking them up, they let you bring everybody's kid home. So at one time, yeah, there'd be 7 people.
I guarantee you they didn't see the truck.
In the bed of that truck.
We had... It was a little GMC S15, which is basically a Chevy S10. Very small pickup truck, but it had bucket seats in the front and a shifter. And we actually had 3 people up front and 4 people in the back with all of our stuff for Christmas break. Yeah. Was it Christmas break or was it?
Oh, I wasn't one of the people.
Spring break? I think it might have been spring break.
I couldn't tell you. I was not one of the people. My parents loved me. They wanted to see me.
Yeah. Did I have my truck first or did you have your car first?
I had my car first, but you went to college before me.
I know, but I was thinking, I was like, did your dad buy you a car because he wanted an extra vehicle and he didn't want you driving the truck? Or did he buy you a car because he didn't want you in that truck?
No, he bought me a car first because I was still in school and I was working.
Because you're a spoiled brat.
I was in school and I was working. And I'm a spoiled brat.
I wouldn't say brat. You were spoiled brat.
I will say he bought me a Standard, and I was like, I cannot drive this. And he was like, you fitting to learn, bitch.
You gonna learn today.
Yeah.
Can't think of it. I was in a car that got pulled over, but we had to follow the cop so he could also pull somebody else over at the same time, which was real fucked up.
That was very weird. Can't really think of much. We went to Kings Island once in Ohio in the middle of a tornado, and we were watching all this crazy lightning and listening to the radio talking about tornadoes, and we're not from a place that has tornadoes. And my dad kept telling me, like, okay, if I pull over and I tell you, you got to get in the ditch, like, don't fucking question me. We're just going to get in the ditch, okay? We drove past.
There's your Twister prep.
Yeah, we drove past Kings Island, and all the cars, like, the parking lot flooded, and all the cars had just coasted to the middle where the drain was and were piled up on top of each other. And somebody got struck by lightning. We would go to the beach every 4th of July. We would go to Myrtle Beach, and he would buy fireworks there because they're illegal here. And I remember, I guess it's so 80s, 90s. We would have like a it was always some different little hatchback kind of car, like a Horizon or a Ford Fiesta. And he would buy these huge things of fireworks, and he would lay them across the back glass, but they would stick over the back seat, and I would lay under them in the back seat, no seatbelt, and I would sleep on the way home under the fireworks that were baking in the sun while he was smoking. So, you know, my face was just a goddamn powder keg.
Yeah, I don't have that story. I do have a fireworks story about when we drove to Florida, and on the way back from Florida, stopped in Georgia. There was some huge fireworks store on the side of the road, like legit, like brick and mortar, not a tent set up. I walk in, and they have everything. They had like things that were bigger than me. I go around, I'm just looking for bottle rockets, and I'm like, you have any bottle rockets? And they didn't know that lingo. I turn around, and I saw something like it. I turn around, I was like, up on the wall, there is basically looked like a 3-foot tall wooden stake that's like an inch by an inch with what would be about the size of the 1 liter Coke bottles strapped to it, and you lit that, and that's what went up. I was like, it looks like that, but it's really small. And she goes, oh no, those are illegal here. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, those are dangerous.
I was like, that's not? Like, this is like a pencil lead.
Yeah.
With a black cat to it. That instead of just blowing up, like, forces all the energy through the bottom so it goes up.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to send that up at the and blow up a town.
We have a little theme park in our home state, kind of a rickety place, but we would go there every year too, a couple times a year. But he would mainly go because he could jump across the bridge and be in a different state, and he could buy fireworks. He liked his fireworks. And we were camping, and we were going to camp this day, and then we were going to go to this theme park and then go buy fireworks. And somehow the days got switched around, and the day we were supposed to go, it was this specific place we were going, the fireworks store caught fire. All the fireworks went off and killed like 7 people. 7 people? Yeah. Like burnt down, killed 7 people. That's what it was. We were going to go, we ended up going a day early. So we had been there and we bought our stuff, and it was kind of iffy. It was like a white cement building. There was a back door. People were smoking out the back, and like we got out of there, and Dad was like, that place didn't feel safe. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of questionable. And the next day when we were supposed to have went, it caught fire and killed 7 people.
Kind of sounds like the same setup we stopped in that Georgia.
I didn't get out in Georgia. I don't know.
Cinder blocks.
Yeah. I don't know how this got into the firework hour, but here we are. It's about the only thing that didn't go wrong for
We're talking about road trips. Now,
it's not really our story to tell, but when the fuck has that ever stopped me? If we're going to talk fireworks in the Griswolds,
this is real good because it's recent.
We have to talk about our friends who, after they told us this story, you told them they were the fucking Griswolds.
Well, they always say, like, Clark over here.
They loaded up their truck and went to a field to set off fireworks this past 4th of July. And being good, responsible citizens, they picked up all their trash. They got all the spent ones, the ones that didn't go off, the duds. They collected everything. They put it back in their car.
And it was in the back of the truck.
It was in the back of the truck. Thank God, in the back of the truck and not in the back of the SUV. Them, their children, they're driving home through a nicer, swankier neighborhood, and a firework just goes off in the back of their truck, just boom! And they're like, oh shit, oh my God. They're continuing to drive home on the freeway. Woo! Boom! Out of the back of the truck. They take their exit to go home. It happens again. like 3 or 4 fireworks out of the back of their truck driving down the road.
Yeah, because the text was, y'all ever get a drive-by fireworking?
Yeah. I was like, well, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
I was like, did they just drive by somebody's house and let off some fireworks? And not on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, the fucking Griswold.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God it wasn't in the SUV.
Oh yeah, it'd been awful.
Because
I hear that the children thought it was hilarious, so at least they have a nice memory.
I mean, it probably terrifying at first, but now since everybody was safe, looking back on it, it's funny.
I would also like to add that our governor of our fine state keeps calling people. He does a press conference every day. People calling people that refuse to wear a mask Cousin Eddie. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't want to say they're odd, but they're just a little bit odd. If you find yourself near Cousin Eddie, you got to tell Cousin Eddie why it's important that he wear his mask. All right. Yep. That's all I got. How about you?
That's all I got. Wear a mask.
You know what movie you're going to do next week?
Not a clue.
All right. You're nothing if not prepared.
I was looking at him earlier. I don't know which one I want to do.
All right.
That's been Run It Back for National Lampoon's Vacation. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can check out our website. It's runitbackpodcast.com. It has all of our social media links to our podcast. You can listen to the podcast from there. Podcast is also available on all of your favorite podcast apps.